Shamps and giggles. History, news, views, and reviews from a black perspective. Shamps and giggles back for 2024. Oh my lord.
There is. We're at the halfway mark, and there's so much more to be said. We haven't spoken about Remembrance Day. We haven't spoken about the Lupus. We haven't spoken about Big Brother. And we are about to speak about Coco Gauff. What a woman.
Yes, what a woman, what a woman. Indeed, indeed, indeed. So listen, radio listeners, you can always catch us back on the radio, Black Culture Radio on a Monday, blackcultureradio.com on a Monday, Tuesday, Rhythm Connections Radio.com, Wednesdays, rocksolidfm.co.uk, Thursdays, back to blackcultureradio.com, Saturdays, Rock Solid FM, and also Mood Radio on Sunday, Rhythm Connections Radio.com, and more. So listen, we're there. But Coco, what can we say about that young girl? So impressive, so impressive. She's winning accolades all over. She won a title first time, as I could say, in Saudi Arabia. Absolute stunning. Yeah, that's right. We can see it there. You're sharing it.
As she was, because here in this report, it said that Coco Gauff was concerned about playing in Saudi Arabia. So yeah,
that's right.
But I don't know what the concern was.
Well, the concern, because listen, Saudi Arabia, you know what the Middle East are known for, and not so much women orientated, as in allowing women to do certain things that men should be doing. So her concerns were, how would the Saudi Arabian community, government, royal, take it? Would they, would the men of that country, will they adapt themselves to
so it's that issue? Is the male
the
ego?
female, yes. So she was amazed by the crowd's affection for the game and towards her and her fellow colleagues.
There you are. Well, she won. Whatever the concern was, she won. But she said a lot of favourable things about Saudi Arabia.
She did. Yeah, she was very impressed. She said the stadium was very nice. The fans who came out to see it, although it wasn't in the thousands, it was over 500-600 people or 700 people in the stadium, in the stand watching and they had a brilliant show of competition, and Coco won. And they said the affection that the crowd gave her, and she said, and which is poignant, I think it's in the article, is she mentioned that if her winning this competition and people start playing, the young generation, young ladies start playing tennis, she's done her job. Just like the other people who took part in this mini competition, the young girls and women that saw them play, came out and saw it. If someone picks up a racket and starts playing, and and they've done their job, and then they said, then it elevates them to play at Wimbledon, have someone from Saudi Arabia, because you'd see there's no one from the Emirates in it, no one from Saudi Arabia in it, in Wimbledon and the lawn tennis. So if there was a women of that, that's what she said, she would have done her job, even when she retires.
Serena and her sister Venus, they did their job over the years. Probably that's what sprung Coco Gauff into playing the female game, because they were among, before Venus and Serena, there wasn't a black tennis player.
Not dominant like them.
Hadn't been for, there was someone, but she was so many years ago, it's hard to remember. And Coco, she came back, she was 3-1 down in the second set, and she, with Zhang serving for the match, so she was really up in the corner, and she pulled back, dug deep, and came out on top. I mean,
Yes.
just amazing. Just an amazing story.
Yeah.
You
So
know,
before we send out congratulations on that.
congratulations, it deserved.
Yeah, and deserved. And congratulations, Saudi Arabia, for hosting it, the first ever women's tennis competition ever.
Yeah.
Ever.
Saudi is all about the money. Saudi, so they're into football now, and
correct.
They bought
they're into football now.
They bought a team, didn't they? Was it Newcastle? It began with N.
Yeah, they've got shares, and they bought out quite a few English
British
clubs.
team paying
Newcastle, yeah,
huge sums of money.
yeah, they are. Yeah, and they're buying players from the Premier League playing over there as well. So they're equally doing good money.
Let's do remember that, of course, Shams and Giggles are on Instagram, YouTube, TikTok. Our email address, shamsandgiggles@gmail.com. It's quite interestingly, the team's growing. I have to make mention that, what's it, Gold Bullion?
Yes.
We have a guest coming.
Yes, Solomon Solutions. Yeah, Gold Bullion.
Yeah, there you are. We and apparently this guy is doing amazing in that market space. Gold
exceptionally well.
Exceptional. Let's put the exceptionally well in there. He's coming on the platform as our featured guest in the coming weeks, and we will be talking to things. That is something amazing to look forward. He has a network of Black investors, as I understand.
Correct.
That are doing well for having invested their pennies. So, I mean, we're bringing value to the platform, opportunities to the platform. I would say after having the discussion, I mean, let's see how the discussion go, but I'd certainly put a $5 in there to see what that can do.
I think there'll be a few people, because that's the way to go. I mean, if you're not getting your interest in banks anymore, if you haven't got mortar or bricks and mortar as a house, you own it and renting it, you're not getting it. But gold, always going up. Platinum, gold, So if we could jump on that bandwagon with our guests coming on, and this is the first time we've been able to secure a guest like a gold bullion type of person, and that's courtesy of Cassandra. I must congratulate
someone in the
her.
Financial markets. Yeah. So that's huge. We saw the website and so on. We are looking forward. We're not going to say too much. He's on in the next coming weeks.
Yes.
We will obviously be bigging that one up big time. But it's great to see, one of ours doing so well and giving back as well.
Yeah.
So that's just absolutely phenomenal. We said we was going to do a piece on the lupus.
Yes.
I can't remember what caused us to talk about lupus.
Because it was also to do with sickle cell. We were going to think of, because those are one of the top things to do with blood and cells that's affecting the Black generation, and also is now migrating across to the white.
It's jumping across
as well. It's jumping across, but it's because there was several people. There was a drug that's now been advertised, that they're brought to the table, that they're trialing to sort of like to stem to help people in those sort of lupus crisis.
And bear in mind, it's a autoimmune disease, so it's really the body sort of attacking itself, sort of thing, isn't it?
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah,
that's absolutely correct. Alicia's got a hand up.
Talk the things.
Yeah, it's a disorder that disproportionately affects Black people or those with from African and Caribbean backgrounds. Sickle cell, that is. Lupus, it's you do get people from other ethnicities other than Black people that get it as well, but it's the funding that goes to sickle cell, and also it's the understanding of the disease. Not many people or the medical industry, a lot of the nurses and medical professionals, they aren't taught it during their training. Some have actually mentioned they've not been trained. The reason I brought this up actually because there's a lady that I've been following on a social media platform, and she showed herself going to hospital having a trauma, being a sickle cell woman with sickle cell, and it was quite disturbing. It was really, really, really painful to see. And also recently in a newspaper in the Independent, there was an article on a man who was went in there, said he's suffering from sickle cell, but he died alone. It was in prison, actually. Sorry, they died of his sickle cell patient,
Wayne Bailey,
after a medical crisis, because nobody really believed that he was in so much pain.
Yeah, Wayne Bailey, his name was.
Yeah,
and that's one of the things. The pain is somewhat, well, it's hard to because it can be masked, isn't it? It can be masked. It's not visible. It can be misunderstood. Well, doctors even have a problem with it.
Yeah, I don't think it's so much misunderstood. They would have known his medical details. I think it's because the prison services, they just don't know what to do. They just don't know how to treat someone in a crisis. And if they don't get the attention that they need ASAP, the crisis will lead to death if you don't get it stabilized and controlled. And normally you can only do that in a hospital.
If they understand what's going, if the hospital understands what to look for, what not to look for, and listen to what you're telling them. Look, Colour's got a hand up. It's quite interesting that Wayne personally died in hospital. So I mean,
yeah, I mean, to follow on to what DJ Smiley was saying, in terms of when people have these conditions, whether it's an autoimmune disease or sickle cell or thalassemia, I know a Jamaican woman, she actually has thalassemia, and thalassemia is kind of like the equivalent to what sickle cell is to Black people. However, when people have thalassemia, they have their spleen out. But when people are in a crisis in sickle cell, it is so painful. The pain is excruciating. So when they are in prison, it's almost as though they are not treated as human beings. But in the Equality Act of 2015, you know, you're a protected characteristic if you have a medical condition that affects you 75% of the time, which when you have something like sickle cell, you are affected on a daily basis. So you could be okay today and then be in so much pain. But it's not even so much pain, it's the psychological effect. It's what comes with it, your emotion, you know, the highs and the lows. Can you imagine you're having so much pain? Because remember, pain induces depression, anxiety, this kind of stuff. We all have mental health. It's whether we're enjoying good mental health. And it would appear that when people are in the prison system, they are treated so draconianly. I do respect that they're there because they've committed a crime. However, everybody is entitled to medical treatment regardless. So I think it is misunderstood to a certain, and yet again, it goes back to, if you don't have somebody that's got sickle cell, thalassemia, or an autoimmune disease, like things like vertigo is an autoimmune disease where people's skin changes color. Things like underactive, overactive thyroid, autoimmune disease. So Lupus. Really, when you think about it, because we become quite selfish in our own cognizance, not unless it actually affects you or we're different because we're a family. But 9 times out of 10, not unless it affects somebody that you love. Like DJ Smiley Turner said once something about like having smears or having what do you call it, breast checkup and stuff. Yeah, he said, look, you know, not, you know, because somebody I love, if they're going to go through that, I would employ that you try and kind of like do that. So it's constantly encouraging one another. It's constantly say, look, men, get your prostate checked. Women, get your breast checked. This kind of stuff, you know. And because it's really, really tough because we are not here for long. We're not here for long. And, you know, some of the, and as we get older, we can see we deteriorate. High blood pressure, sugar, this, that, and the other.
Start happening,
But I just wanted to just chime in and kind of say that sickle cell is really tough. It's tough.
Yeah. Same as Lupus, the two of them. Yeah.
And the two of them,
yeah.
Appreciate your comments. Alicia's got a hand up. Alicia, I can't read it. That word beta is
thalassemia beta. Yeah, I've got thalassemia beta. But yes, it's another strain of sickle cell. But Yeah, it's one of those things. Like I remember a friend of mine years ago, many years ago, when she had her son, and she found out that he had sickle cell. Both her and her husband had the trait. They both knew they had this trait, but they had two children who didn't have sickle cell, so they skipped
Oh,
it.
hold on a minute. Isn't it, Keith, you saying that if you've got one and then you're more likely, it's best not to have children because it's likely to pass on. And you're
That's
saying
correct.
it
can
did
jump.
not pass on
Yeah,
in this case.
It can jump. Yeah, mine jumped.
Yeah, in this case, it jumped because both of them had the trait, and two of the first children didn't have sickle cell. The son had full blown sickle cell. It just so happens that some people don't ask that question when they're getting into a relationship at that age, where they're starting a family.
Yeah.
It's only so recent that people start talking about their medical history now more than they would have done back then, I suppose, because it's not it really wasn't a illness that was recognized. Because even if you said to me, oh, you know, I've got sickle cell, I wouldn't have known back then what it really was.
Right.
Or, oh, right. Sickle cell, whatever that is. But yeah, the son had his first crash. I remember she called me and said, yeah, she's been in hospital with her son because he had a really bad crash, and it frightened her because he was just a baby having this crash. And that's when they diagnosed him with sickle cell.
Yeah. It's just one of those things that we're not informed enough about. But I'm going to show a clip about the sickle cell disease. But just of interest, the person that was in prison with sickle cell, hold on. Just the thing, right? If you know you got these kind of problems, why are you finding yourself in crime? I mean,
probably he didn't know. You know what?
You don't need having them problems in prison for sure. And then prison guards ain't going to be favorable to you, friendly to you, or maybe going to prison by accident. I mean, you know, he might not have done it. Color Queen, your hands up.
Yeah, I mean, like as I said previously, I used to do a lot of prison visits. I mean, anybody that I come from North London, Enfield, and anybody that knows Pentonville prison, they know me. In fact, they know my voice because I used to just do prison visits. And you'll be amazed that when people are, you know, committing their crimes and doing what have you, they really don't care whether they've got a heart condition, whether they've got blood pressure, whether they've got diabetes. What's at the forefront of everything is them committing the crime. So, but what they need to understand is that the care that they would be given if they was just a law-abiding citizen isn't to the standard that they would get if they was outside. So, and so if they're sick, they will go to the hospital and they will handcuff them, or they have the police outside. So, yet again, you would have thought they would have had the mindset to say, look, I'm not a very well person. I'm actually quite sickly and I've got to inject my insulin, or I'm, you know, or I'm like got sickle cell and I consistently have crisis. But if they're more towards the left in committing crime, then they're not thinking about that because they're doing what they're doing. But
it's not funny. I'm not
I know you're laughing, but in a humane way, they you know, do deserve to have their medical treatment. But you know, they do deserve that. But you're quite right. Like if I know that, by an example, I've got my bag of conditions that I've got, I'm not trying to go to Holloway, and Holloway's now closed down. So I'm not trying to be doing no shoplifting. I'm not trying to get myself into prison because I know that I've got one bag of sinting I've got with me. But I'm trying to stay on the outside. Yeah, I'm trying to stay on the outside so I can pick up my prescription and I can live a nice life and I can eat what I want and I can go where I want. But there are people who don't have that mindset and they're like, well, whatever. So yeah, and I think, remember, what we've got to be mindful of, I'll say this and I'll stop, is that when people are in prison, so like I've been in, when you're in prison, you don't have to pay about council tax, you don't have to worry about
but
rent.
You're sick.
You don't have to
care about your health.
You are set. You can, you can get money put into your account. You can bring your PlayStation in.
We don't even want to talk about any benefits. There's no benefit. We want to enjoy the freedom of being able to at your door when you're ready, come in when you're ready. We don't go in our cell and lock up with somebody you don't know who, and all kind of foolishness that could do and go on there. So we don't want it at all, at all, at all. Back to the main point, though. Back to the main point. We're just going to make mention of 5 things you need to know about sickle cell disease.
Yeah, good.
Sickle cell is a chronic disease that affects the red blood cells. It causes the red blood cells to become deformed or misshapen, and this leads to a whole cascade of complications. Sickle cell disease causes damage to organs, to the bones. It can affect the eyes, the brain. It can affect the entire body. Pain is the hallmark symptom of sickle cell disease. On average, people with sickle cell disease have a lifespan that is 20 years shorter than those without sickle cell disease.
There you have it. 5 things on pain. Nobody likes pain. Pain is a hallmark of the disease, so it's horrible. Mark, hand is up. Talk the things.
Yeah, I was going to say something about the prison crime and that kind of stuff. No one commits crimes thinking that they're going to go to prison. Generally, however, you do get.
Hold on, wait. Nobody that commits a crime thinks they're going to prison.
No, you don't commit a crime thinking that you're going to get nicked. Otherwise, you wouldn't do it. Yeah, it's looking at it from the outside doesn't make sense. But if you're in a situation and you're around people, and we talk about peer pressure and these kind of things, and you're able to justify something, then it just becomes whatever it becomes. And if you're around people who that is the culture that you live in, worst way, your family are thieves. In simplistic terms, they are about criminality. Then it becomes even more difficult to escape that kind of a lifestyle, that kind of a culture, because it's a normalized way of being. Do you know what I mean? I know people who, when it comes to this kind of year, this time of year when it gets cold, they will commit crime to get put in. As you were talking about, 3 meals a day, no wife to obey, no rent to pay. That's a mantra. Not everyone can deal with responsibility in the same way. And sometimes, because of whatever situation people are in, they will purposely put themselves in a situation that is better than the situation that they're in. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of different things to look at. And unfortunately, in this society, we don't look at the origin, the root cause. We look at just that instance, that snapshot, the thing that's happening right now. Well, what we need to be doing is looking at the origin of the story. You understand? Because when you look at the origin of the story, and I've worked with young people, and I can see the change. They get to about 12, 13, you can see things start to change. They start to make decisions, right? But that decision is based on something, you know what I mean? Which is based on something, which is based on something. So it's very easy for us to say, yeah, Chad, that's some idiot business and rare, but if you don't do the origin story like we would do with, let's say, illness, then you lose what this situation is. Where does it start? You know what I mean? And unfortunately, by the time we're looking at it and we're seeing it and, the crime has been committed, it's already too late.
It's already too late, locked up. And now your problems become revealed that you're not so well. And one thing leads to another. It's very, very sad. Jemmy, I saw you had your hand up. I know sometimes there's a timing issue. You had something to say? Well, go on. Oh, you can't.
I'm on the tube, so it might be a bit noisy. I've got to disagree with the last statement from the last young man. People commit crime not expecting to go to jail. I think if you're going to commit a crime, you must know that there's an element of that.
No, you misheard. He wants to go. They want to go to jail. Some commit a crime to go to jail because it's cold.
No, but his initial statement was that people don't expect to get nicked if they do a crime.
Oh, right.
Yeah, and that's what I'm going to disagree with first and foremost. Everything else he said, I kind of agree with because I understand that there are some people who it's easier for them to be in the system where they are going to get light, electric, food, you know, they don't have an issue with being controlled, so to speak, for want of another word. Yeah, I get that. But as far as people committing crimes, not thinking they're going to get lynched, I think that's more a wish. You know, you sit in your house, you and four mates, you kind of bank robbery, you've got to take it into I've lost the word that I want to use, but you've got to understand that there is a risk that you will be caught. I think everybody who commits a crime understands that is part of it. You know, if you're going to do nightclub security, you might have to search people. That's part of it. If you're going to commit a crime, part of it that the police are going to chase
you might get catch.
Yeah.
True that.
Well,
Respect.
let me
Appreciate that. Hold on a minute, Mark, because remember the conversation is sickle cell. It's not about prison. Supreme Doctor.
No, I hear that.
Hold on, wait. Supreme Doctor's got his hand up. Let Supreme Doctor just chime in because it could be an interesting one as well. Supreme Doctor, you need to unmute. Yeah, talk the things.
Am I unmuted now?
Yeah, you are.
Yeah. The lady, you know, you done the top 5. That lady said sickle cell is a disease. It's not a disease. It's an inherited condition. A disease is something you can catch. So some people use the word disease because politically it might get them funding and stuff. So, but it's not a disease because if you, all right, for instance, would you go to a job and say, I've got a disease? You wouldn't, because people who don't understand sickle cell will think they can catch it. He says, "Oh, he's got sickle cell disease. He can catch it," but no, it's a condition.
Respect for bringing that point out.
Yeah,
it's a condition.
Yeah, because I have to carry a card because I've got the trait, and it actually states, you know, this is an inherited condition.
Hold on a minute. That's new information. So people with sickle cell carry a card.
I do.
Yeah,
I carry a card.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, I carry a card.
So with regard to this relationship issue, because you don't brought it up before. So if you're considering a partner, you should ask the question, have you got any cards that you might want to discuss, such as sickle cell or
there is a video called The Family, and the video that was made by the Sickle Cell Society, they actually done this video to actually put out in the community that
there's not enough information put out there. Let's be fair, there isn't. There's not enough information out there.
The problem is that we are a minority, and there are other things that for instance, I'm campaigner and activist for sickle cell cause in Tottenham, and one of the things you find that gets more priority, and we have to be real, is cancer. People in cancer, sadly, it's like a business. So if somebody wants to open up a cancer ward, they've actually seconded the sickle cell the center to use for cancer, and we've had to argue it back because it's so easy to get things for cancer because of what cancer is, but sickle cell, because it's a minority, we there is a bit of a fight. There is a bit of a fight,
and I think that's one of the things that caused us to bring the subject up, because comparable to other diseases on a similar level, the funding that sickle cell get is so much more reduced, and so people can end up in hospital, and obviously it not being diagnosed because the hospital staff have no idea what's going on.
Well, what's happening in Haringey, the hospital staff, there is actually a sickle cell ward, so they should, and it has been pushed that when somebody presents with a crisis, that they do get specific attention, because the pain is so unbearable. Everybody's level of pain is different. When Leisha was talking about that girl, when you're in that pain, you will take any drug, and one of the drugs that I did put it in is morphine. so that you can actually get addicted to morphine. So they may see you sometimes as a druggie when you come in because you want to grab and you want to
pain relief.
Yeah, pain relief is yeah, and was it DJ Smiley stem search research? They have been doing research with stem cell.
That's
but
right.
Again, blood transfusions, it works for some and it doesn't work for some because there's a thing called iron overload. But although sickle cell is an iron deficiency as well, because when I first found out, the doctor gave me a tablet. I don't know if Smiley takes it. It's phosphorite tablets, which is iron tablets. But what it is within a tablet, it's synthetic, isn't it? So you just get the burst of iron. But what in reality, if you wanted to deal with iron naturally, you up your greens. But what a tablet is doing is just basically fast tracking the iron, but synthetically. But again, if you're in any pain, even if it's not sickle cell, we all run to a thing called painkillers because we don't want the pain, and then we become addicted to it. You know, Kanye West, opioid based, steroid based. They all cure the pain, but have a side effect
of addiction.
That's the problem. Again, the young lady in the group, TLC, T-Boys, she's a sickle cell sufferer. And I think she suffered two different, young people seem to suffer from strokes with sickle cell. And I think she had a brain hemorrhage, but she's written her book. She's actually written a book about sickle cell, but she's had so many, for a celebrity, she's had quite a few kind of ailments in her life. But one of them, if you Google YouTube, you see she talks about sickle cell. And also there was that other guy in that
But it's
group.
good that she does that because, of course, using her profile, she brings attention to something that is not getting enough attention within the community. Smiley, you got your hand up. Thank you for that, Supreme Doctor. By the way, the ladies are just loving it now because the mandem's out this week. I mean, come on. The mandem is talking. Keith, Smiley, hand is up, talk the things.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with what Supreme Doctor is saying. Absolutely right, and everybody else. I've got the trait, and I didn't have to make sure. I think me and Gina had a conversation when we were having our first child, because if she had a trait running in her family, it is more than likely, 99.9%, is that one of your children will get the full-blown sickle.
Right.
So when you're a trait, our blood cells are like a half moon shape when they're supposed to be a whole shape. So we have like you can suffer with iron deficiency, as Supreme said, and they like to keep you boosted because that can lead on to other ailments. But so I keep a card and I fundraise for the Sickle Cell Society in Harlesden because there's a big one in Harlesden.
Yeah.
So so for me and with my children, it got my first, skipped the second, and got the third and fourth. So it can skip family. It can skip a
generation,
generation. So it does jump. It's but they do. I know for sure that hospitals now, it's one of their main things they do for any Black heritage family member. If they're going, even if it's you're jumping into, I know someone's put on there, instead of calling it mixed race, we call it mixed heritage. So if you're marrying into a mixed heritage person, white, they will give you a test now, and that is standard. They do tests on babies now to see if you've got any of those traits, sickle cell or lupus. They check for that now. automatically.
They investigate. So Harlesden, big up to Harlesden Sickle Cell Society. Where's that? That's by Wilson Junction, or where's it further
That's
down?
right, Wilson Junction, just opposite Tubbs Road, the traffic lights. They got one there, just up there along by the
ACLT, isn't it?
Huh?
No, ACLT is something else. But big up to ACLT as well.
ACLT is something else, Jemmy. This is Sickle Cell Society in its own right. Because the ACLT deal with leukemia and sickle cell is the blood deformity sort of thing, the blood cell deformity. So they're based along there. So yeah, big them up. I will be fundraising again for them. So hopefully we can show appreciation.
So what we'll do, we'll have to keep more of a mention to these things, and obviously we'll have to put some way, mean, manner, form or fashion of fundraising for it, because bear in mind, even with ACLT, the leukemia, sickle cell, and lupus, they disproportionately affect those in the Black minority community.
And they don't get natural funding. It's all, they have to go out to hope for the community will fund them. They don't get the government funding whatsoever.
Right. So yeah, so it is important giving a shout out to that. Jemmy, you got your hand up, things.
So it looks like I'm going to be the big bad wolf again today, Sickle cell is a disease, and I'll tell you why it's a disease, yes? And Keith actually just broke it down in the last few things he said. A normal blood cell is round, hence the word sickle cell. A sickle is a half of moon. Now, a disease is a harmful change to the normal structure or function of a metabolism of an organism or a cell. Sickle cell is a disease because the structure of that blood cell is no longer round.
Well, there you go. And thanks for that information. And the thing about it is, because it's misunderstood, because like Supreme Doctor said, when you talk about a disease, people think they can catch it. People who are but it don't catch like that. It don't catch like that. Toronto, you have your hand up, so it's good to get the differentiation in the understanding.
Before I go, Joe, what we need to understand is that we have bacteria and viruses. Those are diseases that you can catch.
That's right, bacteria and viruses.
It's still a disease, but you can't catch it. Does that make sense?
Yep, absolutely. And of course, for our listeners, we have to understand Jemmy, law support of the platform. He's calling in on the train, so they may be saying mind the gap. Toronto, Carolyn, the things you're there.
Good evening. I'm sorry. Good evening, everyone. I'm happy to be here with you. I just wanted to weigh in a little bit. I too was diagnosed with the sickle cell trait. And never had any issues with sickle cell itself, although some years later I was diagnosed with a rare blood cancer. So I'm not sure if there was never a connection made between the two. That being said, I work for the Ontario Public Service, which is the provincial government for Ontario. And we have a charity organization that was started by the Ontario Public Service, and we fund 21 health organizations. And about 3 years ago, we have an organization, Black Ontario Public Service Workers, which is all the Black people who work with the Ontario Public Service. Is a Black organization, and we get together and we can talk about our issues as Black people working in this level of government. So one of the things we did do a few years ago, we advocated for the Sickle Cell Society to be added as one of the health organizations that we support. And so, and we've raised about $90 million since not for sickle cell, since it's called Federated Health, since the organization was started in about 1983, 85, we've raised about $90 million for health organizations. And so just happy to know that sickle cell is now one of the organizations that we support.
We have to start begging the question: how can we get this funding in this country? I have to big up ACLT again, because oftentimes you go to a dance or a rave or a theatre where there's a black show on, and he'll be out there with his bucket, wouldn't he? Trying to raise money after his son died with leukemia, and what their problem was, I think they couldn't find because black people don't give blood, so they couldn't find someone with the same blood type. It was very, very difficult, and their son actually died. So he's gone on a campaign over years. Haven't seen him as much of late, but over years he's been on a campaign where he would you'd see him out there vocal, trying to raise money and give awareness to the likes of leukemia. But lupus, sickle cell, they all fall into that bucket. Toronto, you got your finger up.
Yeah, and I also wanted to say your blood type. I have a rare blood type, right? I have an O negative blood type. And again, I'm curious, when we look at sickle cell, we should also be looking at the blood types of our community to see if there's a correlation with our blood type and also this illness, because again, do we do blood drives? I can't give blood, but maybe there's things we can do, right, to make a greater connection. Check your blood type. Is that in line with part of correlates with sickle cell anemia as well, but we have to be our own advocates. And I would say that, for all of the dances and things that are going in England, one of the pieces they could add is that if it's £10 to get in, could you donate £5? And then
you raise a hugely valid point. And this here, when you think about it, because now they're often using Eventbrite and online ticket platforms for the sale of tickets, they could put that suggestion. I mean, I was in Tesco the other day, and you're paying at the self-service till, and when you're about to pay, there's your price, and then it says, something comes up, it says, would you like to add to some sort of charity? So I guess those that are running the data, promoters and them, could add such a feature, and that would be a fun. And the thing about it, and that's a brilliant idea, Toronto, the thing about it would be someone like ACLT who's running such an organization to approach the promoters and ask them, can we do something that will give awareness on the platform? As we know, Shoe Doctor has a platform where he promotes enough dances. That's something he could do on his platform. Just have a link, donate to sickle cell, where people, when they go to. So, and the other thing about it, you could say though, in our community, perhaps we're not. We're just not there yet in that software arena.
I don't think it's just that. I don't think it's that, Joe. I think our mentality is not there. We like to talk about these things.
Mentality isn't
giving. We don't want to give. We just don't want to give. That should be standard. We know that it affects Black people in general. Leukemia, lupus, and sickle cell. It affects us, so we should be happy to even give £2. Can you imagine if everyone go to dance and put a £2 onto?
That's my point. That's my point. So even at the door, collect a little money on the door, £1 extra towards the charities through the tickets. But the other thing about it is, for example, we are tech savvy, because I was hearing that Twitter was started by 2 Black guys who eventually got bought out of their own company, a bit like what happened to the guy from Apple.
Yeah.
I haven't had time to look into it, but here's Twitter now under the ownership of this billionaire using to elect, and Black man created it. So we do have the smarts.
Yeah, we need to create our own site rather than Facebook and all of that.
But we do. But we sell it out.
Also that path, because we are at the mercy of them locking down, shutting us out at their whim. And I think again, we have again this organization, Black People in Tech, and I went to one of their events, and there were over 1,200 Black tech professionals who attended that event. And so I think what we need to do is, and I always talk about this, we have to speak about ourselves in a global capacity. We have the power of this internet to connect with Black people across the world. And we need to start advocating that the experience that I have living in Toronto and an experience of somebody living in England, we have similarities in what happens to us because of because of who we are. And so I think we need to start harnessing that global aspects and working together on areas that sickle cell affects Black people all over the world. So why not have a global organization that puts together and supports sickle cell, right?
Absolutely.
Like the barriers to us to come together are no longer physical boundaries. We have this platform and we need our own, because I'm sorry, I'm going to go on a bit of a rant here. With the current US election, Mr. Trump has spoken about going back to 1798. I don't know about y'all, but in 1798, Black people were slaves. And I know
we already were talking about Trump. We're going to watch that space. We'll continue on. But yeah, we had the conversation about Trump and coming back. There's going to be so much as we watch this space unfold. I'm not in America, but Americans should be concerned.
They need to be.
Along with Elon Musk, it can go anywhere. But Supreme Doctor, we're talking on the sickle cell, and I know that's what your hand's up for. So come in, talk the things.
Yeah, I was just gonna go back and say I've been campaigning a long while and with sickle cell, and the Voice newspaper actually got involved with a young lady by the name of Pamela, because what happened with her was she needed hip replacement. So it affects when we do the call for actions. Majority of the times you'll find that a sufferer's got to a place so desperate. So we were done the call for action for hip replacement. But currently, one of the young ladies that I'm campaigning for now is that she's got a thing, aneurysm. I don't know if anybody knows what aneurysm is.
Brain aneurysm.
Yeah. One of the problems again with sickle cell is they're frightened to operate on her because it may cause her to go into crisis in an operation. So there's that problem that she has. So there's if you given a life sentence to say you won't live longer than, now they're living longer, you won't live longer than 30. They've always been told brutally that you're not going to live long. But like I said, the side effects,
that's not fair.
I know, but they've checked. If you talk to most people who've suffered and they've passed 50, they will tell you how they were treated back in the day, because they never understood sickle cell, but they can control it. With men, it may suffer a thing called, I can never pronounce it. It's a preeclampsia. Oh, I forgot it. But it's basically your penis. You have a problem having an erection and stuff like that.
Oh,
so
yeah,
it affects. Yeah.
Sickle cell does that.
Yeah, I can't pronounce it. Preeclampsia.
Okay. Well,
it's like your lymph. Yeah.
So if you blood flowing.
Yeah, so there's a lot of things where it affects everybody differently. So you might see one person and they may be okay, but one thing we tell every sufferer, no, I shouldn't say use the word sufferer, every warrior, is that you got to find what triggers you. Because number one, the cold is a trigger.
The weather, yeah, of course.
Yeah. If it's cold, stay in. Stay.
Yeah.
You've definitely got to stay in. So you got to know what your triggers are. I mean, especially if you're a raver, you know, you're in a hot, cold situation, that can trigger it. And you've got to tell people that, you know, you have this, because if you fall and you collapse and nobody knows that you got sickle cell, they may be treating you wrongly when you go to the hospital.
Well, that's why that card, it's important. If you've got sickle cell like Keith, you got to carry that card.
Yeah.
And so that, you know, people are aware. And of course, whoever who you're out there raving with needs to be aware. But anyway, guys, we have to move on. Couple of things. We're going to lighten the mood a little bit because, as you know, Shamps and Giggles, history, news, views, and reviews from a Black perspective. What we're going to review here is Big Brother. Who I don't know who's been watching Big Brother, but here's a clip from Big Brother. And it'd just be interesting. Here we are, grown folk in discussion. It'd just be interesting to get your views on this here situation when the conversation about Caribbean food came up on Big Brother. So look at your screen very carefully and listen to what comes up next. Can I press play? You see?
Caribbean's up there with my top favourite food.
I'd like to have Caribbean, but I've never really had it. I'd like to have
curry goat, brown stew chicken.
Curry goat is actually mutton, it's not goat. Why don't they say mutton?
Because in Caribbean, we just put everything...
Good.
I don't know if we're lazy. We're very lazy. Yeah,
you know what? Hold on, Joe. I'm gonna pause that. The internet.
Yeah, pause it.
It's not being my friend, is it? I had that up for a while. I thought it was loaded. Hold on, maybe I need to close something. Let's close a few other things and hope that. But actually, look, the platform's still going. So what's going in there? That's let's try one more time because this is an interesting one. There we go. How do you do that?
Caribbean, but I've never really had it. I'd like to have
curry goat, brown stew chicken.
Curry goat is actually mutton, it's not goat. Why don't they say mutton?
Because in Caribbean, we just put everything... I don't know if we're lazy. We're very lazy. Yeah, we umbrella everything. So goat, lamb, chicken, we just... Any meat, just put on the goat.
Well, that was the most of what he said, to be fair. Any meat, we just put it under goat. Curry goat, is that goat, mutton? What would you have said if somebody said curry goat is mutton? Well, how would you have responded to that question? Would you have said, no, we're lazy, like the young man there said, we just umbrella everything and go, even said chicken at a point. How would we describe that? Suprema said slave food. You're funny. Lisha, your hand is up, talk to things.
I think he was just trying to fit in and trying to, I don't know, think that he was more knowledgeable about Caribbean food. Apparently he's not Caribbean, he's African, which is quite interesting. But somebody said he's got one parent who's a Caribbean and one parent who's African. So
he did put on a bit of the accent that I didn't notice.
Well, anybody could, but it was a bit sad, really. It's quite funny because he could have at least, told her actually what the difference between mutton and goat, really. Mutton is just an older sheep and goat is goat.
Well, that's what I thought. That just makes sense to me. Jemmy, your hands up.
No, that's incorrect. Yes, a sheep is a sheep and a goat is a goat. Mutton is
younger
just
goat.
an older goat.
Yeah, older goat. Yeah.
Yeah. So mutton and goat is the same thing. It's just like you have picnic and old people. Yeah. Mutton and old people. The goat, them are picnic.
Yeah, that's right. The child version. Yeah.
Let's see if we can get more of what he said. Let's see.
As well. What? Yeah. So in the Caribbean be like, everything a pear. So an apple come on the pear. Pear is pear. Plum, pear. Anything that go off a fruit, pear. If I grab pear,
What, pineapple?
That's pineapple.
I mean,
Can I just interrupt? Old sheep is mutton. It's not goat. It's old sheep is called mutton.
Old sheep is called mutton. Curry goat is called curry
Oh,
goat.
that is just
For
goat.
a reason.
Mutton is an older sheep. It's a mature.
Alicia, Google it.
I need to.
She's doing it already.
If I could share my page, it says the main difference between mutton and a goat is the age of the animal the meat comes from.
Yeah, but I'm saying that old sheep is called mutton.
Oh, sheep is called mutton.
Old sheep.
Well, maybe why that's why the young man's confused. I get it in right.
Lamb. You've got lamb, which is a lamb, but sheep because it's an older, it's a maturer animal.
Hang on. Let me get my glasses.
So
I'm going to answer you.
is meat from sheep that is typically at least 2 years old.
Yeah.
So when the woman said to him, curry goat, I don't know why they call it curry goat when it's actually mutton, she was wrong. She was wrong. Because it's not mutton. Huh?
Here's your definitive answer, yeah? In some parts of the world, mutton and lamb refer to the meat that comes from sheep. The only difference being age. So mutton is obtained from older sheep, while lamb meat is from young sheep. However, in other parts of the globe, mutton refers to goat meat. So, like you said, it's very easily why that guy could be confused because it's not clear and straight.
But then when he went on to talk about everything's called a pear,
yeah, well, I don't know where you got that
really
from.
Lost me.
Me don't know where him get that there from.
Apple is a pear. Plum is a pear.
How is apple a pear?
How is a plum a pear?
Unless you got two of them.
There you go. Keep your hands on other things.
Yeah, I think he was just looking to be, I don't know, to have his say and his fun there. He didn't know what he was talking about. I think he was just for likes to fit in. But he was absolutely an idiot.
Agreed.
He didn't.
He don't know nothing.
No, he was just saying they called pear. It's a shape for everything is a pear and everything. He's a liar. I think his parents would be embarrassed.
Keith, we all know if we hear the word pear, we're thinking about avocado.
Yeah.
Simple.
Avocado is a pear.
We don't know apple up here and plum up here. What that?
Yeah.
Rubbish.
We never do that. Never. So I think for me, I think that his parents would be ashamed of him being on there. Yeah.
Toronto, your hands up.
Yeah, but here's the thing, right? He's on this national television show talking this stupidness. And then white folks and other races say, oh, but the guy on the show said, so he must be representative of all Black people because he's Black and he must know. And all of us Black people are just rolling our eyes to the head and thinking like idiots.
Toronto's first lady left them, make them be ignorant. Keep them out of with business.
Hilarious. Color Queen, we're running out of time. Leisha's on my case. Color Queen, Tata T, your hand is up.
Yeah, just on the ride on the coattail of TC, absolutely 100%. Like, you know, when we talk, especially like whenever I say avocado, I always say avocado pear, like we are real. You understand what I'm saying to you? So we know like goat, mutton, or what have you, we know what that is. So him going on there and not actually knowing what he's saying, just basically, baby, sit down, shut up in a corner, only talk what you know. Like, and this is the problem because I think kind of like first generation born here from the Windrush era, a lot of us felt that we had it hard with our parents. So we then diluted everything down and some of us, not all, some of us didn't pass down what our parents passed down for us. Then you're going to get this particular generation that doesn't know nothing about being Black.
And try to get them in the kitchen. They don't want to go in the kitchen. They don't want to quit the cook. They don't want to participate. They don't want to come to family dinner. Then they go on Big Brother.
Trust me. And they look stupid. Right, they look stupid because remember, we didn't have a choice because I know TC will back me on this. When we were growing up, we had to grate the carrot.
You had to pick the grains of rice apart. But hold 1 second. Shamps and Giggles, history, news, views, and reviews. Our radio listeners, we're gone. But for Everybody down in the room.
We're there on the panel. Do you remember when we used to have to grate the carrot, squeeze it, and we was grinding with ourselves? Everybody sat at the dinner table on a Sunday. There wasn't a situation whereby Johnny and this one was sloping up to their rooms. We sat as a family. Those who eat together stay together. So even if there wasn't that much family meals going on during the week, you knew come Sunday, rice and peas, chicken, salad, coleslaw, blah, 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 this, that, and everything. Your mum would rub up a little cake. Family life. You must sit at the table.
Must
be a family.
Pause there just a second. Pause. The
recording. PC, come in with a thing. Come in with a thing, PC.
I stopped the recording, but it still says it's recording. Is it saying recording for you lot, or is it just me?
Same recording.
Yeah, I've tried 3 times.